Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Raging ally Iaquinta is big mad, or as they say in New York, mad tight. Holy flying flipping flapjacks. Shots fired. Tony Ferguson is a little upset, former UFC interim champion. He's a little upset at the fact that he was stripped of his interim champion when that's not the UFC's precedent that they've set before, when we had a perfect example he laid out with Robert Whittaker, who was the UFC's interim champion. Two guys fought for the title. He kept being the interim champion, and then when that guy vacated the belt, he became the undisputed champion. So as of right now, Robert Whittaker is the UFC's undisputed middleweight champion, and he hasn't defended his belt. He didn't fight the champion, you know what I'm saying? But when GSP vacated the belt, his interim belt that he got to keep became the real belt. Meanwhile, Tony Ferguson, in his case, he was the 11-fight winning streak, got the interim belt with the win over Kevin Lee. Conor McGregor was the unactive champion, never came back to fight. But whenever Conor McGregor did relinquish his belt, Tony Ferguson didn't become the champion like you would think. Instead, Khabib Nurmagomedov got to fight the number 11th ranked ally Iaquinta. Winner became the undisputed champion. Meanwhile, Tony Ferguson loses his belt completely. You know what I'm saying? So Tony Ferguson definitely got shit on in this situation, so you can understand why he's a little upset. He got injured on the UFC in a media obligation. He tripped over a cord, if you recall. There was something to be said about that. You know, of course, before the fight, it was, you know, there was the videos that came out, which we probably shouldn't even bring up, but he was kicking a damn pole. But he did come out and explain that was not before this fight, so that really doesn't have too much to do with it, except for the fact that those videos surfaced before this injury, not too long before it. But with that being said, it was a UFC media obligation. It's not like Tony Ferguson was out, you know, like driving ATVs in the snow while he was getting ready for his fight a week before his fight, and then had to fucking, you know, miss out on his fight because of something he was doing himself. It was, he had to sell the fight, you know, go to Fox or whatever studios he was at, ended up tripping on a cord up there, bada boom, bada bang, out of the fight, 1 week notice, has to get surgery. But with that being said, he's now stripped of his title. As we saw with Robert Whittaker, as I alluded to earlier, he was also injured. But when he got injured when he was the interim champ, he didn't get stripped of his title. So Tony Ferguson is really just pointing out facts here, but Iaquinta's firing back. So that's the part that's kind of like, damn, shots fired. But the facts that Tony Ferguson are putting out are a little hurtful. He said Khabib beats a non-full-time fighter. That's a fact. Iaquinta's a real estate agent who's ranked number 11. And so those are facts, even though it is what it is, right? I was going to say it sounds bad, but Tony Ferguson ain't lying. Tell me when he's lying. Tell me when he's spitting an opinion. He said he beats a non-full-time fighting real estate agent. Iaquinta hasn't been fighting the most active fighter, definitely not the most active lightweight. He's been selling houses, he does interviews, he's been renegotiating his contract, and it's been working out in his favor. Iaquinta's been, you know, he's one of the guys that it works out for because he has something to bounce back on. Iaquinta is not only a fan favorite fighter, but he also has the New York market to go off. That's a big market, you know what I'm saying? That's a big deal for Iaquinta, who's one of the bigger stars of New York. You know, out of Chris Weidman, the other guys you think of New York fighters, Iaquinta's got a lot of the most potential. You know, he's the baby face, it seems like, in New York. He seems like when you think New York, you think Iaquinta. So he's able to sit back and flip houses when he needs to. If he doesn't like the contract he's on, which he just revealed in a recent interview, he renegotiated, which is why he was going to fight Paul Felder. He's like, yeah, I got a new contract, and it's pretty much a one-fight deal, and if I don't like my next one, I'll go back to selling houses. So with that being said, he is putting time into selling houses that could be put, if he was a full-time fighter, he wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? So Tony Ferguson is spitting facts, but still, Iaquinta fired back. He said he's a non-full-time fighting real estate agent that was ranked number 11. Straight facts, that is who Khabib fought. He said, and I got stripped when the same thing happened to Robert Whittaker, which is another fact. Now, with that being said, he said Khabib run till November. Hashtag paper champion. I ain't even mad at Tony Ferguson for that. But let's get into what Iaquinta fired back with. Pretty fiery response. He said the UFC stripped you because you're a weirdo and Whittaker isn't. Damn. Now that's why I say Iaquinta was mad tight, because he's fighting back with an opinion. He's saying UFC. I'm sure the UFC, that's not their. They released a fucking statement on why we stripped Tony Ferguson and not Robert Whittaker. It's not gonna say you're fucking because Tony Ferguson's a weirdo. That's Iaquinta a little bit in his feelings that Tony Ferguson's pointing out to the world. He was the number 11th ranked fighter that fought for the title. And he was also a non-full-time fighter. That's not even nothing bad against Iaquinta. It's not even a real diss. That's just the facts of the story. That's who Khabib beat to be the champion. You know what I'm saying? Khabib is the undisputed champion. Tony Ferguson was the interim champion. Tony Ferguson's no longer the interim champion. Meanwhile, Robert Whittaker over here is the undisputed champ. So, I got to admit, it was pretty funny what Iaquinta had to say, but on this one, I got to side with Tony Ferguson because he didn't spit nothing but facts. Motherfucking everything he said was a fact, and he was really going at Khabib. He wasn't even taking shots at Iaquinta. He just said he's a real estate agent. He doesn't fight full time. That is nothing but facts. But Iaquinta's like, yo, bruh, keep my name out your mouth. We know Iaquinta's not the one to like his name in other people's mouth, as we saw that UFC fighter / rapper Cajun Johnson put him in a rap song. Iaquinta didn't take too nicely to that either. So Iaquinta's just not the one. If you guys name in your mouth, you know, prepare for the rage of Raging Al. With that being said, it is what it is. And thank you also very much to Reese M for the $7.77 donation. He said, good luck on the donations. Hey man, I got my fingers crossed, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm going back to work if I can find some. I'm gonna be looking all over. They shut Craigslist down, you know, little odd jobs here and there if I can't find shit. But with that being said, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think about Iaquinta firing back at Tony Ferguson's facts in the comments. Like I said, I'm rocking with El Kukui on this one. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.